rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Faking It podcast. I am your host, Miriam Haart, and we are almost done with season 1 of Faking It. It has been quite a journey. I decided that I was originally going to do 30 episodes of my podcast, but I decided that I'm going to do 42 episodes to end it off because I hit 31, I hit 32, and then I was like, okay, feeling burnt out, but I can't stop now. What should my new number be? And my favorite number, if you know me, you know this, my favorite number in the world is 42. So I decided to do 42 episodes of season 1 of my podcast. I'll be taking the summer off to travel. I'll be still posting a lot of other episode content. It should still be very interesting for everyone, but I'll be traveling, reflecting on how I want to improve for season 2 and ending on 42 episodes, 1 episode per week. I started this in September and I'm still going right now. Every single week, no excuses. I had a podcast episode out on Thursday, whether I was in Thailand or there was a family emergency or whatever the situation was. I stayed up till 4 a.m. sometimes in the night uploading episodes. I, had to re-upload episodes 4 times, like crazy things has happened for this podcast, but I always made sure that on Thursday, the episode was out. And if I made a mistake, I fixed it right away. So thank you all for being a part of my Faking It fam, especially round 1 in the beginning, my early days. I'm planning on taking this podcast really far. And so all of you are just my original followers, my original Faking It fam. And I couldn't have done this at all without my family, without you guys. So I just want to say thank you for supporting me in my podcast. That's just a little something because I'll be wrapping up my podcast soon. But I wanted to talk to you all today about love. About love. The thing that we hear so many songs about. I think it's like 97% of pop music, of top 40 music is about love. The music that we listen to is all centered about sex, romance, heartbreak, desire, love. It's about love. Valentine's Day, what we talk about with our friends, dating, falling in love, watching movies about love, growing up knowing that love is important with Cinderella and fairy tales and Prince Charming. Everything, this is a topic that is really deeply ingrained into who we are as human beings. We're encouraged to love each other, to fall in love, to be loved, to give love. And something that's really important to me, something that I value in my life is love. I gave a podcast episode on this where I talked about how I don't want to strive for a life full of happiness. I want to strive for a life full of love. And I explained to you all, you can listen to this podcast episode. I'll add it down below which one it was. But I explained that the reason I want to strive for a life full of love is because love isn't just happy. Love is also sad. Love is also heartbreak. Love is also misery. Love is also pain. But the emotions of love are so overwhelming, are so all-encompassing that to me, I love love. I love feeling those emotions. I love just being around people that make me feel loved and giving love, being around my family. That is a value of mine. And so I decided that I don't want to strive for a life of happiness because if I strive for a life of happiness, the only way to guarantee that to me is through superficial experiences. Instant dopamine that we get from scrolling on social media, that's a form of happiness, but that's not a form of deep love. Forms of deep loves are going on long walks with someone that you really care about. And even if there's having uncomfortable conversations is a form of love. Being vulnerable is a form of love. So I want to strive to live a life full of those kinds of loves, the hard kinds of love, the deep kind of loves, the emotional kinds of love. So love is important for all of us. Love is important to me. But lately, I've been thinking about the rhetoric around love when it comes to women. As you all know, I am a huge fucking feminist. I am proud to be a feminist. And of course, there's so much rhetoric as, what does it mean to be a feminist? Does that mean you're a man hater? I recently went to somebody's house and another girl, I'm studying feminist philosophy right now. We got into a whole debate about women and men and how men throughout history have suffered way more than women. This is my friend's argument. Me obviously saying that women have been oppressed throughout history and going into the data. And then my friend saying to somebody else, oh, she's a feminist. And that guy saying, oh, so you hate men? And just like this rhetoric around feminism equating to hating men is just so unfortunate. But also it's a way to put feminists down by saying, oh, they're just extreme. Oh, they're lesbian, men hating, man eating. They want to start their own society, groups of people. When in actuality, what we really want is just to be treated equally to everyone, to our male counterparts. We want equality across genders. We want gender equity. That's what being a feminist is, wanting gender equity. And so the feminist in me thinks about love as it relates to gender, as it relates to our sexes and our socialization of our sexes. So I recently saw a friend of mine who I haven't seen in almost a year, a good friend of mine, super badass, studying law at a top law school, just an incredible human being, super smart, super driven, super independent. And we're talking about relationships because this woman right here, this badass bee, she has so much drive, so much independence when it comes to her studies. But when it came to men, she had so little respect for herself. And it was so hard for her to value herself in relationship to relationships. And so she was telling me that she was on the dating apps and she was going out with all these people. And she decided recently to get off of them because it just hasn't been good for her mental health. She was realizing that she's putting up with assholes. She is chasing men who don't deserve her. She is just an incredible human being, great degree, great personality, kind person, smart, attractive, like the whole thing. And yet she is going after men that do not deserve her, that are not giving her the peace of day, that are not giving her the respect that she deserves. And she hit a point where she's just like, why am I doing this? Why should I put up with all of this BS? And so she got off the dating apps and she started focusing on herself. And personally, I thought that was very profound because for me, at Stanford, I've seen that experience too, where there's all these really smart girls doing great things, but they let men just throw them around. They let men treat them like absolute garbage. And queer people too. They let their partner not treat them well. And so I always wondered, because for me, like I grew up in this religious community. I didn't start dating until I was 19 years old. So I was very late into the game. The time that I started dating, like my mindset when it came to dating and all these things was very different than the American mindset of like whatever the rhetoric was, or I don't know why, but for some reason I never really let people push me around like that so much. And so it was hard for me to understand why she let men push her around. And so I asked her, like, why did you let guys do this to you? And I know so many of my friends that are women let men just treat them like garbage for the pursuit of being in love or for having a partner. Just even though they're so smart and they're so intelligent, they just let people throw them around. And so I asked her, why? Why did you let people throw you around? And she mostly just said because she wanted to be loved. She wanted to be in love. She desired to be loved by somebody. And so for a long time, I thought that women have this desire to be loved more than men. This is something that I thought, but in this podcast, I'm going to explain a new theory that I have. So for a long time, I thought that women have this desire, this need to be loved by someone else, to be just held. They have this desire. If a man says, I love you, then they fall for this man. They have this desire, this deep desire to be loved. And so that's why women put up with all this bullshit, even if they're smart, even if they're intelligent, even if they know that they're independent, that they can take care of themselves, they still want this love. They still want to be loved. And so my friend was telling me this. She was telling me that I wanted to be loved and that I like being in love. And like, that's why I put up with it. And I didn't think about how I should how much I value my independence and value my time alone. And she said that she values being with someone else, like being with a significant other, even if that significant other isn't good, more than she values being alone. She'd rather be with somebody who doesn't treat her well rather than be with herself. And like, I'm not talking about an abusive situation. I'm just talking about a guy who just isn't treating her like the queen that she is. I'm talking about a guy who isn't pleasing her like she deserves to be pleased. I'm talking about just putting up with people who don't deserve your time of day. That's what I'm talking about. And she was just saying that she'd rather be with somebody and be loved by somebody than to be by herself. And so I used to think I used to think that this had to do with wanting to be in love and wanting to be loved. But lately, I've realized it is something completely different. And I'm going to give 2 stories before I explain what it is, exactly why we put up with all of this. All right, so 2 stories. Story number 1. My dog is right here next to me. I was walking my dog recently at the dog park, and I was walking on the West Side Highway, and I saw a mom, a dad, and a little girl. The girl looked like she was probably 3 years old. The mom is strolling a regular size stroller that looks like it's for the little girl. And then the little girl's walking, not in the stroller, she's walking with the parents, and she's strolling a little toy stroller. A little toy, tiny little toy stroller. Like she's a 3-year-old girl, really small, wearing a cute dress. And inside of the stroller is a baby doll. A baby doll is inside of the stroller. And I think to myself, because I look at other families, I live in an area in New York City, there's tons of kids around here. When I go to my work in the morning at 7:30 a.m., I see all these kids walking with their parents in the street. There's tons of kids. And it's not the first time that I've seen a girl strolling a little toy stroller or seeing a little girl carrying a little toy doll, when I've never seen a little boy carrying a toy doll or strolling a toy stroller. And that's fine. I'm not trying to say that boys should stroll, like whatever. I'm not trying to say anything. All I'm saying is that what I learned from this is that from a very young age, girls are being taught how to care for another being. When they're 3 years old, barely old enough to pee on their own in a toilet, they're already learning how to be attentive to another person's needs by practicing to be attentive to a baby's need. What does my baby want? My baby maybe needs milk, or this baby need to wipe the baby's face, and they're learning how to, they're strolling, the baby needs to be taken on a walk. And as a 3-year-old child, little girls are learning how to care for another person. That is what they're learning how to do. And people always say women are so attentive. Women are so emotional. They're so empathetic. They're so good at emotional and talking, and they're good for marketing and HR because of these things, because they're good at socializing. They're good at understanding people. I think it's very interesting that they say that, because it makes sense. Women from a very young age are learning how to pay attention to another person's needs, as opposed to men are being socialized not to do that. They're not being socialized to pay attention to a baby. They're not being socialized to care. From a very young age, women are encouraged to clean the table. For me, as a woman, growing up in a religious community, the women are the ones who clean the table, set the table, make the food, care for the men in the family, care for the men in the community. So we're always being trained to care for from a very young age. Okay, putting a pin in that, bringing another story in. Just remember that. It all ties together. Stay with me. All right. Next story. I recently went to a Broadway play with Stanford in New York. They had an extra ticket. They reached out to me. I was like, hell yeah, give me that ticket. Let's go. It was called Fat Ham. It was a rendition on Hamlet. And it was centered around a Black family in the South eating barbecue in their backyard. The son was pretty pissed off because the mom was getting remarried, and it was a celebration of her new marriage to the son's deceased father's brother. So the son's uncle was marrying the mom, okay? The original husband passed away. The mom got remarried to her brother-in-law, the son's uncle. And so the son was pretty fairly so peeved. He's like, what the heck? You're marrying my uncle? This is kind of weird. This is uncomfortable. And so they had the son and the mom had a heart-to-heart. And the mom said in this Broadway, this just happened, I watched this literally on Friday. The mom said to the son, she said, I grew up in my father's home, taking care of my family, my father's family. And right after that, I went straight to my husband's home. And then after my husband died, I couldn't deal with the silence. I couldn't deal with being alone. I needed the noise. I love the caring. I need to be with someone. I need to love someone. And so your uncle was a great person. He was there for me. And so he's perfect. It's hard to find somebody. And I need to be with somebody. I don't like the silence. And I thought this was so interesting because to me, she didn't point out this desire to be loved. She pointed out this desire to have noise in her house, this desire to have people around. That's what she wanted. And so I realized that maybe one of the reasons why women want to be in a relationship isn't because they want to be loved. Obviously, everyone wants to be loved. That's normal. But it's not that they want to be loved more than men want to be loved. It's not that they want to be loved so much so that they put up with shit. Maybe it's that they want to care for somebody because they're so used to, from an early age, having to care for or being trained to care for another being, whether it's a baby, whether it's their father, whether it's their boyfriend, whether it's their brother. They're always being trained to care for, to give love to another person. And maybe that is why women put up with so much bullshit when it comes to a partner, because they're not used to being alone with themselves. They're not used to giving them their love to themselves, to caring for themselves. They're used to giving their love to someone else, to caring for and being attentive to someone else's needs, not their own needs. And that is why they want to be in a relationship, because they want to give love to somebody, not just get, they want to give. It's this desire to give love. And I know this so deeply from my own past relationships, from my own turmoil when it comes to wanting a relationship. One of the reasons I loved being in a relationship was because I loved giving love. I loved doing romantic shit. I loved bringing flowers and, surprising with reservations and bringing jewelry and just like giving love to somebody. I loved that. Like it made me feel so good to give that love. And I realized because after my past relationship, once I got the emotional connection from my friends that kind of fulfilled that emotional connection that I got from my relationship, there was still something missing. And what was missing, and the reason why I still wanted to be in a relationship, was because I wasn't able to give that kind of love to my friends that I was able to give to a partner. I wasn't able to be so intimate with the way that I care for and attend to my friends' needs that I could have cared for and attended for my partner's needs. And that is why I think that women tend to want to be in a relationship, because they want to care for somebody. They want to give their love to somebody. And that's why they put up with these shitty men, because then it's a man that they can give their love to, and they want to give their love to somebody. And girls from a very young age, seeing this girl stroll the stroller, being taught, being conditioned, being socialized to give, to care for, to attend to. And so of course, when she gets older, when she's alone and she has nobody to care for, to attend to, she's going to find someone to do that for. And so I think this was a big moment for me to realize this, because now knowing this, that it's not just about us wanting to be loved, because if we love ourselves, then we have that love. If our friends love us and our family loves us, then we have that love for ourselves, from other people. But we still have this desire to give love. And so the best thing that we can do is try to channel that energy, this giving and caring energy that we have for others, into ourselves. Even though that doesn't feel natural, even though it may feel weird, but thinking about how can I date myself? How can I invest in myself? How can I buy myself flowers? How can I surprise myself on a date? Take myself out, really care for, and all this energy and capacity that we have to give loves to others. What if we dare to try to give that love to ourselves? And so this is what my friend kind of told me. She kind of said that I deleted the dating apps and I started thinking about what I like to do, how I like to spend my time, how I like to care for myself. And she started drawing more, and she started going on long walks, and she started reading more, and she started to enjoy her alone time. Another thing too is that in our society, because it's so easy to have so much noise, like even just yesterday, I was walking from my office back to my apartment, just walking, no music, no phone in my hand. My phone was in my backpack. And I just looked around and everyone was talking or looking or doing. There's not one person who is just being. Not one person who's just walking to where they had to go. They're either talking on their phone, looking down at their phone, talking to a person, holding hands with a person. They're always with someone or being entertained by something. They were never really with themselves. And I think in our society, it's so easy to have that noise. It's so easy to not be alone, to not be in our thoughts, to not be by ourselves. And so that makes it even harder for us to be able to enjoy our alone time, to be able to invest in ourselves, to be able to think, how can I spend my time with me? Do I want to draw? Do I want to play guitar? Do I want to walk? Do I want to journal? Do I want to watch TV? Do I want to go to a movie? Do I want to go and take myself out to dinner? Because you can, you can distract yourself so easily. And so it's really important. There's the other component to this. It's really important to just learn to be alone and to value your alone time more than you value being with a shitty man, more than you value giving your love away to someone who doesn't deserve your love. So my question for you now is, wherever you're at in life, whoever you're with or whoever you're not with, whoever you want to be with, whoever you're texting, whoever you're chasing, whoever you're being chased by, do you want this person to get your love? Is this person that is chasing you, that you want to be with, you are with, are they deserving of your love? Are they deserving of you? And if the answer is, I don't know, then I want you to write down right now reasons as to why you should love yourself more or you should love them differently. So I want you to make this list. I want you to really reflect on it, because I think it's so important for, as women, to learn to care for ourselves in ways that we haven't done before, to channel all this energy that we've been socialized to give to men, to give to our fathers, to give to our brothers, and try to give that to ourselves. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. There's only going to be 2 more podcast episodes after this, so we're really close to the finish line. Thank you for sticking with me. If you have anything that you want me to talk about, let me know. Please give me a review, 5 stars. It really helps. Follow me on Instagram at @thisisfakingit or on my personal at Miriam Haart. DM me, let me know what you think. I always check my DMs, so would love if you do that. This is also on YouTube, so check out the YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and kisses, bitches.